And welcome back to part 7, the last part of What If Naruto and his Zanpakuto, the Shigarami edition. Last time, a lot of stuff happened, specifically on the Sasuke side of the story. Sasuke did learn the truth of what happened with his clan and the village, and not understandably not happy. But because he isn't so influenced by hate, because he does have his friends, he did take, I guess the more mature route is the best way to go describe it. He didn't fully believe Obito, and he decided to go and get the truth himself. Luckily, he was able to get out of there and just reverse summon, whatever you want to call it, and find his way back to the village. And the elders and Danzo were respectively punished. And we now leave off with Sasuke being given Shisui's eyes. Now, as a lot of people have kind of pointed out, it is a blood relative thing. Like, technically speaking, all the Uchiha are on some level blood relatives. Gross, I know, but that's kind of how inbreeding and clan abilities work. But I know what people mean when they say blood relative. They mean closer, like, literally like immediate family. Your father, mother, brother, sister, that kind of thing. Which does beg the question, does it need to be like sibling? Because Fugaku, we know, is confirmed to have had a Mangekyo. Is there a reason Itachi didn't take his dad's eyes? I don't know. That is a what if I've been given, by the way. What if he took his dad's eyes? Because, I mean, if it is blood relative, I would have to assume your mother and father still qualify under that umbrella of who counts towards that. Unless it has to be direct, because there's no... While we know it has to be blood relative, there's nothing that says it has to be sibling. Theoretically, you could do mother or father, too. There's nothing that says sibling. But, regardless, that's near here or there. And for the sake of fun, we're just giving him an internal Mangekyo. A, to allow him to keep up with Naruto. And B, because sometimes, I do go just a little fanficky. I decide to have some fun. I mean... You can go as fun as you want with fanfic. You can make a fanfic where every Mangekyo can be merged into one Mangekyo. I replace my Eternal with your Mangekyo and now have an Eternal or Eternal times 2 or Eternal times 3. You can do whatever you want. I don't normally do that. But if you're asked, a lot of people always ask me, what do you constitute as when you're allowed to go fanficky? A suggestion like that would be me allowing to go fanficky. Because I'm like, I mean, theoretically, what would happen? What if you could just take every Mangekyo under the sun and just implant it? And gain every Mangekyo ability that each eye allows? I mean, how powerful would you become? You would be pretty effing hacks, to be honest. Because, I mean, I'm sidetracking real quick, but I mean, you'd add all the base abilities of, say, like a Sasuke, with Amaterasu controlling it. Obviously, you have a Susanoo. I'm guessing Susanoo abilities could merge into one. So you have the Senbon Cannon of Shisui, the Tuska Blade and Yada Mirror of Itachi, the Meteor Summoning of Madara, the Indra Arrow of Sasuke, the DMS Kamui Shurikens of Kakashi. Not to mention you'd have Kamui, you'd have Tsukuyomi. Yeah, you'd be kind of busted as a character at that point. I digress, though. So Naruto has gone to train with the Toads in Sage Mode. Now, luckily, I think Naruto has an easier time doing this because he has just been trained in a calmer mindset, thanks to Shigarami's influences. Because being a seamstress, or being a weaver in this case, you do have to have a slightly more chill mentality. I mean, can you imagine aggressive weaving? Just, it's a bird! Like, can you imagine that? But no, so I think he has an easier time accessing his Sage Mode. He does learn, obviously, to throw Rasen Shuriken. Because even with Shigarami, there's no way he can do that. But I also think he learns how to yo-yo the thing, too. Because he does... I think he integrates strings in there when he, like, throws it. And there he can just kind of, like, yo-yo it, throw it around. Kind of like a puppet master. So, when the attack on the leaf happens, first of all, Sasuke is probably not recovered yet when the attack on the leaf happens. We don't have a firm time frame of how long it took him to recover. We know it was more than a day, though, at least, minimum. Like, we know there was, like, 2 days worth of war, more or less, and Sasuke had kind of woken up, I think, on like the second day, or gone left on the second day he was recovered. But the war hadn't started. Uh, like he had done the surgery on Sasuke, but the war had started a little whiles after that, like at least a week, I think, because Obito still needed prep time too. So there's no confirmed like amount of time, I think, unless I'm missing something. Please let me know. But there was a little time, so I actually don't see Sasuke being fully recovered here. Like maybe he's on the verge of being recovered, but he just can't do anything at the moment. And so when the attack happens, he is unfortunately he's also caught flat foot. He can't do much. Yeah, he's not completely helpless. Like, I think he can still activate Susanoo with it, and although he is recovering, so maybe that's not a good idea, activating Mangekyo abilities, because that could strain the healing process. But he could still theoretically activate Fireball Jutsu. Any of his normal jutsus he actually could still activate. He just can't activate anything ocular. And look, he's a well enough trained ninja that he could probably sense, these attacks and, sense well enough to like defend himself. But unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to aid in the fight very well. So eventually, the fight is, and I could see Tsunade or Healer or Sakura trying to speed up the healing process, because she probably keeps training with her medical ninjutsu, so she might be close to where she starts at Shippuden at this point. So maybe she just tries to accelerate the healing process with his eyes, but it's just not quick enough. So eventually they have to, call out for Naruto, who shows up. He's there, all badass in his new cloak, and he's looking down. He's just like, And so he starts the fight, and this one can absorb ninjutsu. And it's like, this is good to know. And, Froguma, he also makes sure to get some sealing jutsu, get seals tags, or basically sew seals into everyone he's getting into close contact with. Basically suppression seals, so even if for some reason they get back up, they're paralyzed. They can't move. And so, now granted, the Naraka Path might negate that effect, because he kind of pretty much just restores things to brand new. I am surprised, too, that the Naraka Path, while Naruto's distracted, didn't resurrect the Azura Path again, but whatever. Naruto obviously throws the Rasen Shuriken, annihilates the human path, and then he kills the animal path. He's tired out, though. Unfortunately, though, Nagato is a little arrogant just because of how powerful he actually is. Even though he's probably heard of Naruto's ability with the needle, he's probably not aware that getting in close to him, which he did do until Naruto reactivated the Sage Mode, would not be smart. Because getting in close to Naruto without access to the Deva path is kind of a suicide move. Because Naruto is so fast with the needle now that even though he's, they're fighting each other, Naruto's tired, he does manage to get not only get seals on him, but also gets stabs him with the spikes. Just, they're corpses, so it's not an immediate death, but also puts suppression, paralysis seals, chakra seal, whatever he got. He puts whatever seal he can on him before the Sage Mode reactivates. Then he notices the Naraka Path healing up the Prita Path, and he just comes in and just takes care of them, which means he's not as safe. She doesn't try to save him. He goes, he finds Nagato, and they again have their conversation. Now, this is important because Minato doesn't actually get involved in this one. The seal isn't broken. He doesn't, have to reset the seal. So the seal is actually still pretty weak. And when that chakra goes into Naruto, it's very possible that could cause some problems. But I don't think Naruto would lose control. I think Shigarami's obviously in his mindscape. He's also keeping the seal kind of bound, using her needles, using her thread as best she can, keeping the fox in check. So, while I think it could be risky with that rod going in them and kind of flexing the chakra a little bit, I don't see it being the end all be all in that scenario. And so Naruto and him have the conversation. Now, the conversation I do think goes a little differently, because he had already had the question of how would you bring about peace? How would you do it? And Naruto didn't have an answer there. So I think that conversation they have actually starts at that conversation they originally had, talking about peace and how to bring it and where to bring it. And Naruto initially doesn't have an answer. But this is then when he remembers the book he carries, the Gutsy Ninja, that he actually really liked, and their sensei. He sees it, and he just remembers. And he remembers Jirai Sensei. He's like, if there is a way, I will find it. because of that's what our sensei believed in. Master Jiraiya believed in that. And again, ultimately, he is able to convince Nagato that, yeah, peace, all right, fine, I'll bring him back and all that. Now, no, he's not giving him Naruto. He's not giving Naruto his eyes. I have someone who asks, he should always give him his eyes. Like, should he have? Yes. If we're talking about like things that should have happened in Naruto, like plot points that make more sense to happen, and that's a list to do at some point. I should really write a list of the new Naruto lists I have, or not list, but thinking about all the jutsu Kakashi actually knows, merging Kekkei Genkai together to see what you could create from that. Things that should have happened, and the Kekkei insert name there, the 4 chakra element releases. Those are things I actually should really write down because they're actually all really good ideas for videos, and I have the time to do it. So yeah, and that being said, because of the week of Who Win, I'm kind of swamped this week, and I'm normally swamped anyway, but I'm also adding extra Who Wins on now, so yeah, I'm a little swamped. But probably like next week I'll probably start doing this. So Nagato still would go. Plus, I think the reason they say is because they believed it belonged to the Rain, and so that's why they didn't do it initially. Either way, or give Naruto his eyes. But yes, in terms of what they should have done, they should have given him the eyes. And so the day is saved. Everyone's brought back. Naruto's a hero. Sasuke's eyes are good to go. But big change up here. As always, Sasuke's in the village. Sasuke is now under Obito's control. And Deidara's still alive. So, even though it would be a terrible idea, they don't have don't have many other options. They got to send Deidara and Kisame together to go try to get the 8 tails, because they need the 8 tails before they can steal the 9 tails. Now, unfortunately, the only way to effectively do that is to go into the cloud, which they did do, I think, with Yugito, and they sent Taka, obviously, to do that, which failed miserably. But the problem with being in the cloud is you're gonna raise the suspicions of the Raikage. Deidara is not. No, Deidara will get his teeth kicked in by B, but they have no other. Yeah, you could theoretically send Kisame on his own, but the fact that they're going into a village means I think they need backup, and I think that's more what Deidara is there. He's for the aerial support to actually keep the other ninja at bay, to keep them away from the battlefield. Unfortunately, he can't stop the Raikage. Or Darui. There's no way he's stopping either of those. Their lightning release is way too strong. It would counter his explosion release, his earth release. So, unfortunately, Kisame still doesn't manage to catch B. Now, I do think because they're on the lake, I do think Zetsu maybe replaces him, because Samahara does take a liking to B. And unfortunately, I actually think Deidara manages to survive. He just pretty much does the coward's way out, be like, I gotta do a tactical retreat. I cannot. This is no good. So he's actually alive for the war. And Obito's like, this is the only guy left, dear God. But at least we got someone. And so I do think the Raikage still calls the Kage Summit, because someone did try to go after B, and it was someone outside of his village. However, Tsunade is currently, not out of action. Not KIA, not MIA. Well, she's technically MIA. She's out of commission. That's what it is. Out of commission. So, OOC? She's ook, or oos, depending on your pronunciation. But that means, and Kakashi was already kind of tapped to be the next Kage anyway. They even suggested him for the candidate of the temporary 6th. Oh, sorry, my toe got caught. Don't have socks on right now. But, so yeah, he'd probably be the 10th Kage. He'd probably take Guy and probably Yamato with him to the Kage Summit. Now, there is no attack on the Kage Summit per se. Sadly, Sasuke isn't being manipulated in this case. And Obito, I think, actually makes it. Obito knows he's got to get the Rinnegan soon, but he's still got to declare war on the Kages. Now, declaring war on the Kages isn't going to be the best, but I actually could still see him nabbing Yamato, because he knows that it would probably aid him in the battle. Or maybe he waits, because this is now where Orochimaru would come in. Now, again, I've heard some people say Orochimaru is always going to have one of two mindsets in this scenario. He's going to sit out the war and wait it out, Or, yeah, as a lot of villains would do, reap the spoils of war and take advantage. Alliances of convenience are not beyond him, i.e., Donzo, i.e., the Akatsuki, at least for the time, at least until he was left the organization because he realized, oh, I'm in trouble. So alliances of convenience are not against him. So him offering his services for the Edo Tensei and then saying, I want Sasuke. Sasuke's my information told me Sasuke's gotten very powerful, more powerful than even I might be able to handle. Therefore, I need assistance in acquiring him. And so, very well. You offer your services, and I will. And now, would Orochimaru have, say, Madara's DNA as well, all that? If Kabuto could have found it, Orochimaru could have found it, assuming they didn't already have that DNA on storage. So, yeah. He probably had, at minimum, he probably had a lot like the Akatsuki DNA and all that. But, yeah, he almost certainly has the DNA of a lot of the people he had, if not all of them. And so, yeah, he offers his services, and he explains the Zetsus, how the Zetsus works. Like, I see, but your Zetsus aren't ready yet. However, I haven't. Now, that being said, he actually probably doesn't know Yamato's alive because he wasn't aware. He was surprised that Yamato being alive when he saw it. It's like, it was a time I desired the first wood release. I did an experiment. They all died except for you. And he was surprised Yamato was alive. So he actually probably doesn't know Yamato is alive. We knew Kabuto knew, that's why he went after Yamato, but that might not be the case here. So, while they do have the Edo Tensei under their belt, and they do declare war and stuff along those lines, they do not have the level of Zetsu they have, and they're probably not as strong, because Yamato is used to strengthen the Zetsu. That's what he was used for. So then Naruto is sent to the island. Even though Naruto is as powerful as he is, he's sent to the island to, beat Kurama. Gain control of the Nine-Tailed Fox. He goes to undo the seal, but that's where Minato shows up. Because Minato didn't redo the seal before, he actually shows up and just talks to Naruto. Now, because he doesn't use his power to redo the seal, he can actually, like Kushina, he can actually aid in the fight. If he's not using that excess energy that's stored up in there to redo the seal, which would take probably considerable amount of chakra that was stored in there, he probably, like his spirit, just like Kushina's, can probably last quite a bit longer and maybe even aid him. He can probably even do like his Flying Thunder God in there and maybe even his Sage Mode. So when like the fight happens, Naruto is already beating the Fox down surprisingly well. He's got Sage Mode, the Rasengans, but using Shigarami, he's actually tying with Sage enhanced chakra. He's actually kind of tying Kurama down. He, in theory, could use his Bankai here, because the Bankai does, the way Shigarami's Bankai works, and I literally have it right up here, is that it allows you to manipulate space, the space enclosed by your Bankai with clothwork, literally weaving and sealing victims' fates within. Her weavings are uniquely powered by different powers designed to counter the characteristics of her opponent. Senjimara's Bankai can adjust the number of weavings to match the number of enemies she faces, and she's the best at like multiple opponents, they said. Calling the name of the ability Shiri no Rokushiki Ukuman no Hata. When Uryu broke out, she can create new cloth patterns and they can attack the individual. So basically, she's literally manipulating kind of the reality with this ability, and it seals and can theoretically kill an opponent in that sealed honk. But because of that, if it can kill someone, Naruto wouldn't want to use that because he's not trying to kill the fox. But still, he's binding the fox down. He's using seals on the fox. And with Minato, he is definitely having a harder time with the fox. But the problem is, as we know, it's still a struggle of chakra and your soul and spirit and all that. And so the hatred of the fox still tries to overwhelm Naruto before Kushina shows up. And it'd be a different scenario here. She sees Minato, Kushina. It's like, Minato, I didn't think I'd see you again. It's like, I'm here, babe. It's like, wait, Naruto. It's like, Mom, you're my mom? Yeah, I assumed I was a backup for after you used your seal, but But why was I summoned now if you're still here? Well, Naruto's. I was like, wait, you're trying to take the fox, aren't you? You're trying to take that chakra. That's my boy. And they had this family moment where they talked about how they first met and all that, and then they go into Naruto, and he ultimately takes control of the fox's chakra. And then he senses Kasame there. Kasame tries to nip out of there. Naruto just says no, and then they basically capture Kasame, and yeah, Kasame takes his own life. So when entering the war, we know these Edo Tensei would not be as good as effective as Kabuto's, because as it's been said, Kabuto did not take the will of his or the personality of his Edos away. He just gave them a task, and they were forced to do the task. Other than that, yeah. Now that being said, he still could activate Sasuke's manga, like Shusui's eye in Sasuke, and basically release himself from that jutsu. Orochimaru and Kabuto are obviously controlling the Edo Tenseis. Naruto goes on to the event, and so the fight breaks out. And actually, these Edos would be easier to take down, basically. So, though Kabuto might suggest, because Kabuto hasn't gone through the process of altering his body here, he might suggest, like, what if we do this? And Orochimaru, oh, that's interesting, Kabuto. Very well, yes, let's see how they have to deal with fighting their own. And so, everyone save for Deidara is resurrected. Deidara is still in the battlefield, although he would almost certainly be got by by Sasuke or one of the lightning, like Cloud Nin. He would meet his end and then probably just be resurrected immediately after the fact. So you would then, and unfortunately, Kankuro can't live on the battle, can't fight, so he's stuck at home, helping everyone else. Ultimately, Sasuke would join the battlefield as well, and with his internal Mangekyo, he's pretty much like wreaking havoc. He eventually meets up with Naruto, and then they meet up with Nagato and Itachi. Obito would get Nagato's eyes like normal. Then it's like, little brother, Itachi. And he sees the eyes and it's like, that's right, I wasn't able to pass my eyes on to you. I'm sorry about that, Sasuke. Look, I know you are, and there's a lot I want to say to you, but right now, yes, right now we need to take care of this. And then all of a sudden, Sasuke's, what? Itachi's on another level. He's able to break out of the jutsu after all. And so then they take on Naruto, obviously, honestly, Naruto, now, because of the Preta he could just absorb the chakra strings. So Shigarami's actually not good against a fully realized Nagato, but it's all taken care of. Naruto enters the battlefield setting his clones. The real Madara shows up. Naruto, now I'll say this, Naruto, can probably use Shikai while using his clones. He can't use his Bankai. Only his base form can use Bankai, and only if he's not using a Shadow Clone. And so he struggles against the Madara because he can't get to Madara. Really, a lot of that would still go the same. Obviously, he comes in contact with Obito, and then I think Obito gets snagged by the needle. Apart from the fact that Naruto ultimately is able to get the trust of the Tail Beasts, when the Naruto clone and the Naruto clone goes into the Kamui dimension, he snags Obito with the needle and therefore puts a chakra suppression seal on him. And then chakra absorbs it. And so he just starts to and should note that he's able to counter a lot of attacks from other Edos and Madara and even Obito with fire, at least because of the seals he has on him. But he's still not able to ultimately bring them down as is. But it all changes up when Obito tries to become the Edo Jubito, but can't because he doesn't even have a bit of say Killer Bee's chakra. That's the problem. They can't even go into Jubidara or Jubidara or Jubito here. They can't go into the pseudo Ten-Tail state because they don't even have Killer Bee's chakra. Hell, they got the gold and silver brothers, sure, but they don't have Killer Bee's chakra. He didn't try to get away here. And so they're really up its creek without a paddle in this case. Yeah, like you could make an argument they try to steal some of the Eight Tails chakra in this fight, but without that extra bit of chakra, you can't get Kaguya because Kaguya possessed Jubidara. She didn't possess Madara. I mean, she did, but you know what I mean. Madara with that pseudo ten tails in there and the divine tree. So Madara is probably really upset at this entire plan, kind of going haywire. Mind you, you could still seal the almost all the Nine Tails chakra in there. You probably would be like a near pseudo version of the Ten Tails, but without the Eight Tails chakra, it just wouldn't be the same. And I think that's ultimately what happens. Like Obito tries, fails, Tail Beasts all get thrown out. Now, if I actually remember correctly, I think Killer Bee, the Eight Tails did get temporarily stolen from Killer Bee. I think that was the case. I think I might be wrong. But even so, I could still see it, like, because Madara ends up taking control of the Ghetto statue, starts, like, slurping up the tail beasts, because he does implant the Rinnegan Eye in his body to be able to use it properly. We know Sasuke, even with the turtle, ended up getting kind of clapped by Madara, and so that would still happen. Naruto still would probably get a little tired out, and before he's ever actually able to use Bankai, because he's probably exhausted. Bankai would take a lot out of him, especially this type of Bankai. So he's probably also kind of, knocked to the curb. Sakura's there. She is able to at least help him and resuscitate and keep him alive, and then they meet the Six Paths. Now, it's at this point where, he's in his pseudo, and maybe he does temporarily steal, like, the Eight Tails from B, and B is now weakened. Maybe not dead, but definitely can't fight. And so now he's in the Jubidara form. That is until Naruto is in the Six Paths chakra form, ready to fight. They briefly take him on. Naruto is about to use Bankai until Zetsu basically takes the reins and revives Kaguya. It would be at this point that Naruto would use, once they go into the alternate dimensions, if Tsukiyomi is activated, Naruto just stares as like, I got something for her. But I'm going to need you guys to get some distance. And Kaguya's like, boy, Asura, why, or Hagoromo and, what was it? Hagoromo and Hamura, that was it. My children, why? It's like, boy, it's like you. I was like, and she's just holding a Naruto, just, yeah, she throws like the ash bone, and he just catches it with the needle, just, boom. It's like, sorry, but we don't have any more time to play with you. And yeah, he's probably gotten close. He's even tried to get some seals and use Shigarami, and he's injured her, but nothing severe that she can't recover from. You boy, you really think you don't know who you're dealing with? I am the mother of Chakra. I cannot be beaten. I will not be denied. Denied? Yeah. And he's like, sure, right. And then Bankai, and there, all of a sudden, they just hear just the cracking of the loom. The loom appears. It's like, what is this? And he activates Satashu Karagara Shigarame no Suji. And so it's like, what is this? Now, here's the one problem with this Bankai against someone like Kaguya, of all people. She can travel through dimensions, so she can bypass some of this shit. But this is assuming that she knows what's going on. And each one of these is designed to counter someone, to counter an ability, and basically kill them and seal them away. So she gets like wrapped up, like, what and where am I? You think you can? She reappears. Yeah, that teleportation's a problem. Until she realizes she's just back in another one. That's the thing. He can just keep resummoning these things and putting her in there. She instead tries like a tail beast bomb, or the chakra limbs she did, or dead bone pulse or ash bone jutsu. She fires it and they just hit her right back, and she just starts. What? No. She's fighting it off because you can kind of resist it, but only to a certain degree. Like, is she immune to her own power? Probably not. Like, she just starts struggling, and the attacks just either bounce back in her, or she starts getting like trapped and like sealed away. It's like, no, it's you, and then finally she just blows up. And Like she does escape, but now she's in that form where it's like, and she instead gets bound, and now she's being bounded by the cloth, not sealed this time, bound. It's like, I can only hold her back for so long, Sasuke. It's like Naruto, right? And then finally the tail base I think gets separated from her, because they all blew out of her body, and she's like, and then she gets sealed away, just no. And she apparently is confirmed she's dead. She got crushed by the new moon. So then the day is saved Zetsu, and then Naruto throws Zetsu out there. And Naruto and Sasuke have no reason to fight at this point. Now, okay, the one thing we do need to bring up is how Sasuke is brought back, because Sasuke was on death's door, and it took Kabuto basically kind of keeping him alive to keep him alive. And also there's the Hokage. Now, the difference here is that I could see them going to the Hokage's the Uzumaki Shrine early, and basically releasing the Hokages, but that makes no sense because unless Kabuto is being used as a sacrifice, and then he's brought back through Eda Tensei as well. So the Kage's not being here would be problematic, except for the fact that they just don't have, they can't access the true Ten-Tail like form, like the form they access in the series. So they probably aren't really required for the fight in this version. And Orochimaru would still get basically caught in the genjutsu of Izanami until he finally learns, and then I can see him being the one to restore Sasuke. Although it's and he's smart enough not to put a curse mark on him right now, because he knows, like, look, he probably could survive it, but this is not the time. So yes, I could see Orochimaru being the one to help revive him. So that's how I could see Sasuke being brought back. The Kage's not being there would be would be not good for the alliance. But again, I don't think it's going to be necessary, because they don't have the full power that they would. They can't access, again, the Ten-Tails form they normally access. And so ultimately the story ends, Tsunade survives. Like, I say that because she was cut in half and keeping the others alive. But she stays alive. Again, the 6 Hokage position officially goes to Kakashi. Naruto and Sasuke remain friends. Naruto last happens, and Naruto, honestly, I could see Naruto using Shigarami again, like his Bankai again against Toneri. Quite frankly, I could see that pretty easily. And Toneri, as powerful as he was, would not be able to survive that. So that would actually probably be the straight out end of it. Although he might not do it, because he does need to get Hanabi's eyes back. So that might be the reason he doesn't do it. But he can still use Shigarami to, again, get close range, basically put seals on there and just destroy whatever advantage he has. Otherwise, him and Hinata would still get together. Sasuke and Sakura would still get together. The people who get together would still get together, really. And Naruto would ultimately become the 7th Hokage. So ultimately, that's the end of this particular What If. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll put up a poll for the Naruto Devil Fruit one after I'm done with this. After I'm done with the Q&A, I have that, and that's the only one I have to actually get done today, and then I'm done. But as I've done previously right now, because currently my internet's out of my house, I gotta wait for the bill to just go through. At least as far as I know. I spent the night at my girlfriend's place where I am right now, so maybe the internet's now active again. But it's probably gonna not be for a little bit. So I have to be using my girlfriend's internet right now. So I'll probably pre-record my videos for tomorrow here before I go. But right now I have to eat something first. So I'll see you guys later.